What is going on, guys? It is your role model of the IWC Gamers Goon here today with your Impact Bound for Glory review. Now, this show, I'm going to say it, a lot of this show was a very underwhelming show. The title makes it seem like it was a great show, and I think that this show, because of what we saw in the main event, I believe that is the reason why we got an underwhelming show, actually. Because I expected the main event to be the underwhelming part of the show. Meanwhile, everything else to be over the top. We got the complete opposite of that. So, I just wanted to get into that. But on the pre-show, we actually did get to see the Ken Shamrock Hall of Fame tour. Basically, we got to see Bret Hart, we got to see Mick Foley, and even Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was in there to congratulate Ken Shamrock on being inducted into the Impact Hall of Fame. He comes out, he's inducted. It was a good moment there for Ken Shamrock. So it's nice to see Ken Shamrock inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's nice to get guys like Bret Hart, Mick Foley, and even The Rock. I really did not think The Rock was going to show up. I mean, obviously it was a video that he sent in, whether it's because or he filmed it with his phone, I don't know, but it was just a pre-recorded video that he sent in. And obviously they played that for us. But it's still nice to see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson on Impact Television on pay-per-view. It's pretty impressive that Impact could get a name like The Rock to support Ken Shamrock here. I mean, it was a really special moment for Ken Shamrock to start off in the pre-show. Then another match. We actually got a match here on the pre-show. We got a tag team match. The one highlight of this show, though, I want to say before we get into things, is Madison Rayne was not on commentary. She wasn't on the pre-show, but she did come in later in the evening. But one of the things about the pre-show is she was not on commentary. Thank God. I am not a fan of her on commentary. I am sorry. Well, we had the Rascals, Dez and Vince, go against the Deaners. There was Cody Deaner and Cousin Jake. It was a pretty good match, don't get me wrong. The match didn't last very long. It was a pretty short match. The Deaners were actually getting double teamed here for the most part. Very technical style here from the Rascals at the beginning. And that ended up falling apart at one point in the match, later in the match, and we get the Deaners finally being able to use their power advantage over the Rascals. Obviously, the Deaners are much bigger, much stronger competitors than the Rascals. They use their power against them, and they end up winning the match. If it was me booking this, I would have had the speed and the charisma and the athleticism of the Rascals. I would have had them go over. I can see a situation where the Rascals challenge for the tag team championships in the future, whether that's with Trey or without Trey. That doesn't matter. I could see a situation where the team of Dez and Vince could go into a tag team situation against the champions. Meanwhile, you got Cody and Cousin Jake. I'm not sure if the Deaners really have a chance at the tag team championships. Obviously, they will probably get a match in the near future, but they aren't really a solid option where it's a jump ball, where you're really invested in the match, where it could be either or. I just don't see them making a compelling thing out of the Deaners going up against the tag team champions. But then we get into the main show. And we started off hot. We get the Way Scramble Match for the X Division Championship. This match is the match that I said I was looking forward to the most. It was a pretty good match. It had TJP, Chris Bay, Trey Miguel, Jordan Grace, Willie Mack, and Rohit Raju in this match. It's a pretty solid match. Throughout the majority of this match, we had Rohit Raju actually playing like the obvious heel character. Obviously, you know he's the heel in this situation. But every chance this guy got to attack Jordan Grace, he would take it. And every time that he stomped on Jordan Grace, every time he did anything where it made Jordan Grace vulnerable, he would just sit there and yell equality. He was like, equality, equality, you want equality? Really? He's just really mocking the fact that she wants to wrestle men. Get over it. It's 2020. Get over it, Rohit Raju. Get over it. It was a solid match, like I said. Rohit Raju ended up picking up the cheap win here. He wasn't the one doing most of the moves here. We had Willie Mack showcase his athleticism. We saw Chris Bay and Trey Miguel show their athleticism. We had some moments where TJP was showing off that he could be a submission wrestler. It was a very solid match for what it was. But at the end of the day, I do not think Rohit Raju is the right guy to carry the X division division. I would actually have put that responsibility on Trey if it was me, just because I'm not a big fan of Rohit Raju. I don't know what it is about him. He just rubs me the wrong way. At the beginning, I really don't think he should have ever won the title off Chris Bay, and I really don't think he should have retained it here. I think it should have went to Trey. It's just not the guy I would have holding the title. He just rubs me the wrong way. I don't know what else to say. Then we have the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. Now, I actually have to go to Wikipedia here real quick to get all the contestants. But let's get into them. We had Sami Callihan, Rhino, Sean Davari, Larry D, Crazy Steve, AC Romero, Havoc, Tenille Dashwood, Brian Myers, Alicia Edwards, Kiera Hogan, Taya Valkyrie, James Storm, Hernandez, Falaball, Adam Thornstowe, Luster the Legend, Heath Swoggle, and Tommy Dreamer. Now, I do want to point out Tommy Dreamer actually did pay homage to Road Warrior Animal during this match. He actually he had the face paint on. It was a nice tribute to Road Warrior Animal. May he rest in peace. Brian Myers in this match had a pretty big showcase, eliminated a few people. Myers actually eliminated Tenille Dashwood. At first, I was going to compliment Brian Myers because he did exactly what I would have done if I met Tenille Dashwood. And that's, you know what, let's get a picture together. But this dude eliminated her. I don't know why. This dude would have lured her into a false sense of security. What a terrible man Brian Myers is. But then we had James Storm come on out. Sorry about your damn luck. I popped for that. If you don't know, Beer Money back with Bobby Roode back in Impact in about 2012. Those were the high points of Bobby Roode's career. Outside of what happened in NXT, James Storm and him were amazing. We even had Sami Callihan join the Gauntlet match. I thought he wasn't going to be in this match just because he was in the story later on in the evening, but he ended up showing up. The final two men in this match were Sami Callihan and Rhino actually ended up winning. He and Heath will be staying in Impact, and Heath is officially signed to Impact. I was just not a big fan of the match. I liked some of the moments. I like the James Storm moment. I like the Tommy Dreamer paying homage. I love Sami Callihan. But I'm just not a big fan of waiting 26 minutes to get the predictable outcome and Rhino winning. He was the first guy in there. He's the last guy out. It's just something we've seen too many times. I'm not a fan of them kind of giving it away when they said, you know what, if you win, Heath will be able to have a job. I wouldn't have went about it that way. I would have been like, you know what, you impressed us in the match. You had a good fight, and you eliminated 6-7 people. We'll keep you. I wouldn't have went the solid way of just having him win. That's just me. Then we got into a match that I really enjoyed. We had EC3 versus Moose. Now, up till this point of the card, it was by far the best match on the card. It was a cinematic match of sorts. We had EC3 in this match. Just really all this match was just EC3 bringing out the dark side of Moose, telling Moose, you have to control your own narrative. Control your own narrative, Moose. Moose ends up at the end. He looks at him as EC3's on the ground saying, control your own narrative. He gets his whole crowd chanting Moose for him. Moose looks him in the eyes, says thank you, hits him with the belt, brings out the dark side of Moose. Moose walks away, a different man, a more violent man. EC3 sacrificed himself to get Moose to a level where I think Moose will actually be able to, instead of being this TNA champion, the fake champion of sorts, I think this is actually going to push him to go up and possibly face the Impact champion, who we will get into in just a little bit. But I think this will be what pushes him to the next level, pushes him back to where he needs to be in the main event I think bringing out the violent, aggressive side of Moose is exactly what needed to happen. I really did enjoy it. Then we got into Eddie Edwards versus Ken Shamrock. This match was pretty solid. There was a lot of hard-hitting, a very hard-hitting match between Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock got a bunch of good punches in. Eddie was finally able to get the upper hand. He was finally going to make Ken Shamrock tap out. He could not do that because the lights turned off. Sami Callihan is in the ring with his trademark bat. Eddie Edwards has a kendo stick with him, starts beating on Sami Callihan. Once he drops the kendo stick, Ken Shamrock's able to get him into the ankle lock. Ken Shamrock picks up the victory over Eddie Edwards. I should have known that was going to happen. I don't know why I picked Eddie Edwards, just because it's Ken Shamrock's Hall of Fame night, so you would assume he would win. I don't know what I was thinking by making Eddie Edwards win that match in my predictions, but Ken Shamrock ended up picking up the win. Then we have the Good Brothers go against the North, Madman Fulton and Ace Austin, and the tag team champions, the Motor City Machine Guns. And actually, they did not go against the full Motor City Machine Guns because Alex Shelley was attacked prior to the match, leaving Chris Sabin out there all by himself to fend for himself. It was a very good match. Chris Sabin on his own looked extremely good. He had some highlights. Ace Austin had some highlights in this match. But at the end of the day, it was the North using their traditional tag team style, their double team moves, what you know the North to do, and they were able to hit Carl Anderson and cause a distraction for the ref. Carl Anderson goes flying towards the rope. I believe it was Ethan Page on the outside, hits him with the championship belt. The ref didn't see it, falls back into the ring, 1, 2, 3, and Carl Anderson is pinned by the North, and the North once again are your Impact Tag Team Champions. I did not think that was going to happen. It was a very good match. This was actually the best match of the night outside of the main event. And it was a pretty good match. I just did not expect the outcome. And then this is where the shit hit the fan. This is where everybody, I think, fell out of it. Nobody was having it after this point. We got to the moment where it's time for the match a lot of people, and I mean a lot of fucking people, were excited for. Literally all day, all I've been seeing on my timeline on Twitter is Deonna Purrazzo and Kylie Ray. It's the time for the big match. Everybody's excited. We get two great women's wrestlers against each other. Deonna Purrazzo comes out, and Kylie Ray actually does not show up. Now, they did allude to this situation in a promo package with Deonna Purrazzo, where she said she's used to not showing up. She's used to not being able to be there for the big moments. She's going to choke under pressure. Is this a storyline for Kylie Ray not showing up? I hope it is. Especially because of who we got. We got Su Yung coming out to challenge Deonna Purrazzo. But is it because Su Yung maybe possibly somehow took out Kylie Ray and is taking her opportunity from her to be the next champion, or to be in this number one contender spot? Maybe Su Young's stealing the opportunity away. Maybe she held Kylie Ray hostage. Maybe she attacked Kylie Ray and we don't know. But the way they went about it is very nerve-wracking to me. Because we know that the indie scene has had their problems with COVID-19 recently. We know that. There's been a lot of names going around the indie scene that were pissed off that somebody had COVID, they didn't tell, and a lot of the people had to go get tested. Kylie Ray, she works the independent scene. Was she one of those names? Do we not know about that? Kylie Ray, back in AEW, she walked out because she was struggling mentally. Is that involved in this? I'm hoping it's not COVID-19, and I'm really hoping that it's not anything to do with a mental problem. Because Kylie Ray is one of the best women's wrestlers in the world. One of the best. So I pray that it's nothing. I pray that it's just storyline. Because it would be it would be so bad if this is another situation where Kylie Ray possibly walked out. because of whatever it might have been. I'm just really nervous. I don't know what this means for Kylie Ray. Hopefully it's just storyline. Hopefully it is just storyline. But very nerve-wracking. Very nerve-wracking. And if it is just storyline, it's a very shitty move from Impact to do this. Very shitty. Because they've been hyping this match up. Literally, the whole IWC has been bought the pay-per-view for that match specifically. Everybody wanted to see that match specifically. They didn't get the match. They did not get the fucking match. So was this a bait and switch opportunity that Impact did? Is this that Kylie Ray didn't want to do it? Is it that she couldn't do it? Is it just pulling a WWE move? I don't know. Hopefully it's the WWE move, which, by the way, I fucking hate when people do that, where they do the bait and switch. Fuck that. But I'd rather that be the scenario than the COVID option and the walking out option due to whatever might be going on with Kylie Ray. Hopefully it's the bait and switch. Hopefully it is bait and switch. But let's get into the match with Deonna Purrazzo and Su Yung. At this point, I'm really pissed off. I don't know whether it's kayfabe. I don't know whether it's real. I don't know. I do not know. So I think a lot of us kind of tuned out. The match was okay. It was good, but I just couldn't wrap my head around what was happening. I just couldn't. Su Yung ends up winning this match. And by the way, having Su Yung win this match makes me think it's storyline. But it's very weird for Su Yung to win. Su Yung wasn't built up to beat Deonna Purrazzo. I didn't think Deonna Purrazzo should have ever lost to Kylie Ray. I said that I would have took Kylie Ray, but then we had Tenille come in. Now I feel like maybe the Kylie thing is just storyline. Not 100% sure. But I wouldn't have had Su Yung win. I just wouldn't have. Because if you think about it, what's the more interesting match? Deonna Purrazzo or Kylie Ray, or Kylie Ray versus Su Yung. To me, it is Deonna Purrazzo versus Kylie Ray, just because of how great both women are in the ring. Nothing against Su Yung, but I'd rather see Deonna Purrazzo and Kylie Ray. So, I don't know. I really don't know. That's unfortunate. Then we have the announcement that the women's knockout tag team titles will be returning at Hard to Kill in January. That should be interesting. Maybe we're going to get to see Deonna Purrazzo go with them for them later. I really don't know. Maybe Kimberly will join her. I have no idea, but I don't know what you do with Deonna Purrazzo. She lost. I really don't. Next, we get into the main event of the evening. Now, this is where things turned around. It never really hit second gear yet. Like I said, a lot of these matches were good, but the expectations for these matches were much higher than they delivered. The expectations were all the way up here. They gave you right about here. It was a solid show. Don't get me wrong. It just didn't meet expectations. It's a very disappointing night because it didn't meet the expectations. But this was the match that I thought would have been the underwhelming one. Not the rest of the show. I thought this match specifically would be underwhelming. I thought this match would be replicant of what Roman Reigns did to Jey Uso. I thought this match was going to be Eric Young embarrassing Rich Swann. I thought this match was going to be Eric Young's coming out party. Eric Young, he recently won the championship, so I didn't think he would lose. I just didn't. But I was wrong. Rich Swann is able to pull the ultimate underdog move. Rich Swann's able to overcome the injuries. It looked like he injured his neck too in the match. So he overcome 2 injuries. He overcome all the odds. He overcome it all. And he beat Eric Young off a top rope finisher. Beautiful. I tweeted it out on Twitter that the only way that this show would have been saved is if Rich Swann somehow, some way beat Eric Young. And we got that. So this show was not a complete disaster. Not that the show would have been a disaster. It just never hit that second level. It never met the expectations. This match delivered. I applaud them for getting this title under Rich Swann. I didn't think they would do that. But at the end of the night, There's a lot of negatives about this show. You didn't give us the match that I think a lot of the people in the IWC were excited for. The tag team match, in their defense, it was a great match. I love the tag team match that they had, but the Good Brothers lost. I think everybody thought the Good Brothers would win. I think everybody wanted to see them win. Eddie Edwards match was better than what I thought it would have been, to be honest. The EC3 match I enjoyed just because I'm a big fan of the cinematic matches. It's really a jump ball whether you are or you aren't. It just really depends on who you are. The Call Your Shot Gauntlet just didn't deliver to me. It just didn't deliver. And then the 6-way match, I just don't think they got the right outcome. And then on the pre-show, I don't think they got the right outcome, and let's be honest, that's not a match many people were looking forward to. That's simple. That's simple. Anyways, I'm going to get on out of here. I will be seeing you guys tomorrow night for Hell in a Cell. That prediction video did go up today. That's been getting some love. But if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, do whatever you guys got to do. Make sure you share. If you enjoyed my content, share with somebody that you think might enjoy it as well. But for right now, it's been your role model of the IWC. You know where my Twitter and Instagrams are. GamersGoonYT on Twitter, thegoongameryt on Instagram. Make sure you go follow those. And I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow night for Hell in a Cell, which I believe could be a very good show. I'll see you guys next time.